How are you all doing? Massive show tonight. Really excited to do it because it's going to be tactically looking at, has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer been exposed? But there's some big things to talk about. There is talk that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be sacked after the Liverpool game. There is talk that the players have turned against him. We, of course, will be talking about that. But first of all, I just want to say that many of you will be aware that on October the 25th, we are hosting an evening in Birmingham with Ryan Giggs, the Manchester United legend. And here's a little message from Ryan. You can get your tickets. The link are in the video description.
Hi guys, Ryan Giggs here. Looking forward to seeing you at the ICC in Birmingham on the 25th of October. For tickets, go to showfighters.co.uk. See you there.
That's going to be a very interesting night. Really looking forward to it. We are going to be on stage with him, asking him questions. So if you want to be there with the United stand, Ryan Giggs, links in the video description for that. And I tell you what's going to be very interesting is that is 5 days after Liverpool. Now, if we lose that game, will we have a new manager there by then? Will we still have Solskjaer then? What's Giggsy going to have to say about that? Very interesting evening. Make sure you get your tickets. Link in the video description. You probably want to meet me more than you want to meet Giggsy anyway. And I'll do photos and stuff for free. But links in the video description for that. Right, let's get into this. That is going to be very important in a couple of minutes' time. This is how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to line up at the moment. This is how he has been lining up all season, and we're going to be looking at that. And they're asking the question, has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer been exposed tactically? Because there's a lot of people out there at the moment that are saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been found out. He's got one way of playing. It's counter-attacking football. He did it for the first 3 months. Now everybody knows how to do it, which is why he can't beat Rochdale, which is why he can't beat Newcastle. It's why he couldn't beat Cardiff and Huddersfield and Chelsea and everyone else towards the end of last season, because he has been exposed. He's tactically been exposed. He doesn't have a plan B. We'll be talking about that, and actually I'm going to give a very, well, I don't think it's true. I don't think he has been exposed. But let's talk about something topical. You scared me with that video yesterday, Mark, says Bayan1. I don't know what video you're on about, mate. But look, what I want to say is that this came out from Simon Stone last night, just after we'd done the 8 o'clock show. He is close to Manchester United. He's not always right, but he is close to United. He's definitely got sources within the club. I know exactly, well, I'm not going to say. But the reality is he was saying that Manchester United want to stick by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but there is now rumbling within the club that if it goes wrong against Liverpool, there will be external pressure that may well force them to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You then had Neil Custis in The Sun, who, I know it's The Sun, but I always tell you this, he is pretty good in relation to Manchester United information, and he's saying that the players are confused, they don't like the style of football, they don't know what's going on. And then you've got the Daily Mail, which saying that the board will back the manager. I think the situation is this. I was quite surprised when Simon Stone said that, because when he's saying that there's an admission within the club that Ole might not be the right person, that starts to be a concern. Then you get stuff that, even the ever positive Ole is starting to think there's not a way out of this. The players are starting to show their discontent. And these are all the things we never ever expected and we never ever wanted. There's that clip of Rio Ferdinand going around saying, give him the contract, we're back. There's a clip of Fleck saying, we're back. And I think everybody had a right to say that. It wasn't 1 month, it was 3 months. It was very good. Everything was going very well. Everyone was like, yes, we've got a United legend, a United fan who's going to play positive football. This is the way we want to go. We'll be patient with this. That's what we're going to do. A few months later, we're playing negative football. Everything's going wrong. The players have down tools again. The club are getting itchy feet again. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is totally exposed, looking down the barrel of the sack, to be quite honest with you. But what I want to say about this is, I'm just going to quickly flip between two things here. If I close you that's Manchester United's team under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for the first 3 months. I mean, obviously you've got to average it out, but basically the way Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was playing, and I keep telling you this, this is how we're playing now. This is, I believe, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's best team when he's got everybody fit. It's a 4-2-3-1. Now, you could argue that Dan James doesn't play and Andreas Pereira plays, but I think, let's go with the crowd pleaser. We'd want Dan James instead of Pereira. So I believe that is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's best team, and it's certainly the formation he's been playing. He plays 2 holding midfielders. He plays very centrally. He's got a stronger defence. We have actually got one of the better defences in the league at the moment, but we hardly create any chances. That's how we're playing at the moment. This is how we were playing last season when we were successful. The 4-1-2-3 or the 4-3-3. Pogba and Herrera with a licence to be box-to-box and get forward. Matic the holding role. And then Rashford, Martial and Lingard in the 3. But sometimes it would change with Martial and Rashford as a 2 and Lingard pulling in. But there was definitely fluidity between that front 3. And there was definitely licence for Pogba and Herrera to get forward and support attacks. And yes, we conceded goals, but we also were scoring more goals as well. What is the better team between... Well, look, I think we all know that that's the better formation, without question of a doubt. But what's the better team? Because I still think... Look at that. All right, Harry Maguire makes us stronger. Wan-Bissaka makes us stronger. Definitely the back 4 is stronger. But I think that the front 3 in the midfield is stronger. And actually, Smalling and Lindelof, they did okay. Ashley Young was a total weak link. I accept that. But what frustrates me is that team there was the one for 3 months, and it did really well. And there's no arguing that the back 4 now is better. But we've got a better... This is the thing I don't understand. We played like this for 3 months. He nearly won every game and he got the job based on that. And the defence was weak, right? So you get a strong defence and then you go more defensive. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. You've got a stronger defence now than you had then, but you go more defensive with your stronger defence. It really doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been exposed because this team has been exposed. This is the team that everybody knows how to beat. It's very defensive. It's very slow at moving the ball forward. As Newcastle showed, you can pick any old team, just get behind the ball and hit them on the break and it works. With that team, that wasn't the case. We did move the ball quickly because we had Pogba and Herrera stepping forward. You've got 3 players who are playing on the attack. And we created a lot more chances than we do now. Now, you've got Paul Pogba stuck in a rigid centre defensive midfield position with McTominay moving the ball very, very slowly. It is a total contrast. Dajan Singhvi says, Ollie can't play his earlier tactics with this 11. Fred loses the ball more than Matic. Pogba is not available. No service from the midfield and Martial. I mean, to be honest, I'm going to stop reading that comment because you're just making an excuse, mate. And you know what? I like Harry Maguire, but Harry Maguire coming out with tweets today saying we need to stay united. I'm bored of it, and I'm bored of that excuse that you've just come out with there. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can't pick the same team as last year because he can't trust Fred and Pogba's injured. What a load of crap. This is the team he picked against Chelsea. This is the team he picked against Wolves. This is the team he picked against Southampton. Pogba was fit in that game. Martial was fit in that game. Luke Shaw, Martial, Pogba didn't start getting injured till around the Southampton game. He went into this season willingly playing 4-2-3-1. For whatever reason over the summer, he decided to walk away from the reason he got the job to play this defensive style of play. And I don't really understand it. Herrera was immense for his low-key during those 3 months of success as Anaban Batashi. And this is the thing for me. This is the thing for me that irritates me more than anything. And it's nothing to do with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I don't think. And that is to do with the team from last season under Herrera. If you check my Twitter timeline, there is an image of all the games that Herrera played and he didn't play. And you do not need to be down Specsavers to see that the contrast of results with Herrera in the team and Herrera out of the team was ridiculous. Now, you've had people like Gary Neville saying there's plenty of Ander Herreras out there. You had people like Rance and other people saying, we don't need Ander Herrera. And I agree with them. There are plenty of Ander Herreras out there, and there are plenty of players better than Ander Herrera out there. But when you let a player of consistent quality of Ander Herrera leave and don't replace him, this is where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been exposed by the board's lack of ability to bring any midfielders in when you lose your most significant performer in the midfield. Ander Herrera was absolutely intrinsic to those first 3 months. Go back to the United Stand videos, go back to the games. He was. Pogba was good. Martial was good, Rashford was good, even Lingard was okay. But Herrera was absolutely excellent in those 3 months. And then he picked up an injury and then he basically was leaving and we got gradually worse. If there was a graph of results with Herrera playing and not, it was like that and then it's dropped and it's kept on dropping. And I'm not saying we should have begged Herrera to stay. I don't believe the money that he wanted. I don't believe that at all. But what we should have done is replaced Ander Herrera, and there was plenty of midfielders who could come and do that job. So that is the team that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got the job off, and that team with Ander Herrera in it was very, very, very good. But so I refute anybody saying that Manchester United have been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been tactically found out, because that team there and the way we were playing is very, very different to the way this team is playing. This team's been found out. This team has been found out. It's very easy. It's not easy to score against this team. We don't concede loads of goals because we're very, very defensive. But it's very easy to stop us scoring. And that's why we're getting so many 1-1s, 1-0s, because we've got a good defence now because we're such a defensive side, but we're very easy to defend against. And why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer decided to do that, I do not know, because we actually haven't got good enough midfielders to have 2 CDMs and play that role anyway. But it's... So he's not actually tactically been found out. He's been tactically found out for the way he's playing now. This confusion reigns because why did you move away from that, Ollie? Why did you move away from that? There's no doubt. I mean, in fact, actually, I'm just going to read something out from @United Arena, who's very, very, very good in relation to the tactical analysis of things. And I asked him if he'd come on the show tonight, but unfortunately he works late. And he said... I basically said, quick question, in your opinion, is Ollie using different tactics to the first 3 months? I didn't add anything else into that because obviously I know he is, but I wanted to just him to come into it fresh. And he replied to me @United Arena, @UTD Arena. He said, he definitely is. In the first 3 months, he utilised a 4-3-3 setup, 1 holding midfielder, 2 box-to-box, and focused on width play. He used 2 midfielders to move wider, Pogba and Herrera too. Now he's using a 4-2-3-1, which orders the 2 centre midfielders to remain in their positions. Pogba is one of those. The one ahead of them, part of the 3, in this case Lingard, is more central. This wasn't the case before. Before, he made his midfielders move wider, but now he wants more central positioning. This is why we are far more compact defensively. Likewise, he did use a 4-4-2 diamond last season, but now he doesn't want to up front as it causes defensive problems. He's definitely changed how he's playing. We've become a far more defensive, solid side. In fact, we are one of the best in the league, but now we've become one of the worst offensive teams in terms of creating chances. Last season, it was like we were a balanced team between defence and attack, but now he's completely switched to a defensive focus. If he did sign offensive players, then we definitely become a better side in the 4-2-3-1, but we really don't have the personnel, and injuries are messing us up entirely at the moment. He has changed his tactics over the last year. We conceded far too many goals and via each chance. This season, we're the best team at limiting opposition to difficult chances, which is great. We're actually the 6th best in Europe, I think. However, we are terrible at scoring goals. My assumption is that he wanted to establish the defence first and then buy offensive players to build up from the defensive base. But obviously it's gone a lot worse than he thought in relation to scoring goals, so that now we look like a very, very, very defensive side. So look, the proof is in the pudding, and I like this sort of thing. The proof is in the pudding. We have become a very, very, very defensive side, and I look at that, and what I wanted to say as well is, if we say pink or red, right? Which team do you prefer? Do you prefer that team? Forget the formation. Which team do you think wins in these 2 games? Do you think that team or that team wins? Because for me, I think the defence on that team is better, but I think that team will win because it's better offensively. You've got Pogba with licence to get forward, and Herrera, who's the best midfielder we've got with Pogba, or we had. And I think Rashford, Martial and Lingard are more than capable than James, Rashford and Martial like that. So back then. So yeah, for me, it's definitely not Ryan
guys.
Giggs. What are you doing back, Ryan? He's back again. Ryan's back again. Join us on the 25th. Link in the video description. But yeah, a lot of people saying pink. And that's interesting, isn't it? There's a few people saying red. There is a few people saying red, but the majority are saying pink. And I think that just shows you, doesn't it? Yeah, we've bought Harry Maguire in, we've bought Wan-Bissaka in, and we've bought Dan James in. They are very good signings, but I think they've almost been they're very good signings, but the loss of Herrera has destroyed that. Because we're defensively good, but we've got nothing going forward. And it's not just the loss of Herrera as well, it's where Paul Pogba is. Paul Pogba in this system is basically being told to hang around deep. In that system, he was getting forward because Matic was doing that. So I prefer that team. I prefer pink, and I think it's very, very sad. And I think we're getting into that world now. I think we've got to get into this world now, whereby if we are coming towards the end of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's turn, and Amanamish Ranjan says, based on your analysis, do you think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have used more aggressive tactics had we bought Maguire earlier in the window? I don't know. I think it's a very conscious decision by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to go. I mean, to be honest, this team on my left makes me want to cry. I just see that team and I think that team's better than this team that we have right now. That team was better. You know, it really was. And that midfield, I don't even like Matic, but he actually had a very simple job to do. Just sit and protect the defence and give the ball to Pogba and Herrera. And I liked that team, and it makes me very, very sad. But with this team, I just think that it's... thanks for the contributions, Amy Assey. With this team, I think that he's made this conscious decision to go with it. And it's such a shame that Paul Pogba is playing in such a deep position as well. But he basically had... You know, I was arguing with somebody this the other day. He's basically parking the bus. He's parking the bus. He's spent money on the defence and he is parking the bus because we are not scoring many goals. We are not creating many chances, but defensively we're good. And it's that attitude that George Graham used to have years ago. And you've never heard of George Graham. He was an Arsenal manager and he did win titles around like the late 80s, early 90s. But they were boring. They used to be called boring Arsenal because it was like he basically built that defence of Adams and Winterburn and Dixon, and they would keep a clean sheet and then nick a goal at the other end, and that's what they did. I remember them winning the Winners' Cup or the UEFA Cup doing that, and they were boring. They were so bloody boring. I hated watching them, but they got all the way to the final and they won it. Very, very negative side. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has, I think over the summer, he absolutely, proverbially shit himself and thought, I'm a bit worried. I'm a bit worried about... I think he wanted midfielders and attackers, and I think he's covering for the Glazers, and I think he's covering for Woodward. I cannot believe... I've always said this. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer willingly said, I don't need any midfielders and I don't need any attackers, then sack him now. Absolutely sack him. Because you can't let Herrera go. You can't let Lukaku and Sanchez go and not bring in quality replacements. It's all, them going was regrettable in the case of Ander Herrera, but you've got to bring replacements in. I don't think there's a manager in world football that would say, yeah, I've lost Herrera, who was massively important to me in them for 3 months where I was successful. I mean, like I say, just go back, look at my tweet. Look at my tweet about Herrera from this afternoon and look at the fixtures. And in fact, I'll read them out to you in a moment. You can't lose a player like that who was absolutely essential to us winning games and not replace them. So I personally think under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer over the summer, lost Herrera, didn't get a replacement, didn't get any attackers in, needed 2 or 3 midfielders, got none of them, and suddenly realised, I'm happy with what I've done with Wan-Bissaka and Maguire, and Dan James is one for the future. But this midfield is weaker than the midfield I had last year, and this attack is weaker than the attack I had last year. I am in trouble. I ended the season last year badly. I'm in trouble. I am going to set this team up to not concede goals. And I think that's what he's done. But the problem with that is that you're only ever going to be judged on the things that you did well when you're doing badly. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did ridiculously well when he first came into the club. And it was exciting. It was like Ollie's at the wheel. We weren't singing it because we were scraping 1-0s. We were singing it because we were excited. There was people saying, oh, it's a shame it's not the start of the season. We would have won the league. So it's such a shame that he's had to turn Manchester United Football Club, who he knows better than anybody. He knows how we should play. He knows the United way. But I think he has absolutely shit himself and thought, I can't play like that with this team. I can't do it because we'll lose. But the trouble is we're losing playing such a defensive way as well. So he's got a massive decision to make over this international break. Will you like PSG type result against Liverpool and save himself, and then again gets back to his boring football and bored, give him the January window, which is terrifying, says Dipanshu Kumar. I mean, there's 2 ways to looking at that, Dipanshu. I mean, at the end of the day, please smash a like on the video, everybody, because I think this international break, as much as I don't like them, it's really going to give us a lot of opportunity to go through a lot of what's going on at the club. I want to focus on the board on one of the nights as well, and director of football, etc. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you're watching the videos, and make sure you smash a like because we've got loads to discuss. And that Liverpool game is going to come around very, very quickly. The reality is that people are scared that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to stay in the job. And I know people I really like who are Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out. But I think if you watch this video tonight to this point, you can't come away you cannot come out of this without this contrast. That team is ridiculously different to that team. I know I can say, oh, he's changed his way of playing, and people think, oh, Goldbridge is talking shit again. But that team and that setup is ridiculous. I mean, just look at the difference of Pogba for a start. But that team compared to that team is ridiculous. It's poles apart. The approach, the way we're playing, they are poles apart. So those people who are saying, "Oh, I want Ollie out. I don't want Ollie to get to January." He will be sacked if it keeps going wrong. He will be sacked. But I've been saying this for weeks. Ollie, if you do watch, and he does watch some stuff, you never know what he's watching. I don't know whether he watches this, probably not. But if he was watching, go back to that on the left. Go back to that on the left and go down fighting with the support of the fans. If you go back to that formation, you free Pogba, you put McTominay in the box-to-box role, and you know what? Maybe you do just bring Matic back to play that role if you don't trust Fred. Or maybe you put Twansebi in there, even better. Or maybe you put Delo in there. But go back to that system. We will score more goals. We will probably concede more goals, but it'll be far more entertaining, and that's a vision. That's the vision you sold us to get the job. If he goes back to that way of playing, and it starts to turn around, and I'm not saying we're going to go on a 10-game winning streak. I don't think the team's good enough. But if it starts to turn around, then January you buy a Maddison or somebody, and it continues to get better. Then that's the journey we want to go on. So that, I think tonight is like, I'm fed up of people saying Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been tactically found out. He has been found out this season. He's been found out in relation to this system, which, to be honest with you, I would find it very easy to play against Manchester United because they're so deep. As long as you get your men behind the ball when you lose the ball, they're going to find it very hard to get through you, and then you hit them on the break yourself. It's very easy to play against that, and he's definitely been found out in relation to that. But that's not why he got the job. That is. And that system didn't get found out. He just changed it. He just changed it because of injuries, etc. But he needs to go back to that. And if he goes back to that, then everybody who's saying Ollie out and he shouldn't get another transfer window, well, maybe he shouldn't, but maybe he should. There are poles apart. The same people who thought Herrera leaving wasn't a problem thought Mata signing a new deal was a positive. Both baffling choices, says Murray. Well, Murray. I just want to do this now because you've just reminded me to make sure I do this. Please smash a like while I'm doing this, actually, while we're just having a little interlude. But I just want to go through this because I've got it in front of me. Okay. So, these are the games that Ander Herrera played in between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reign, right? So, listen to this. He played against Cardiff, we won 5-1. And this is going to make you cry anyway, because I'm actually going to go through the results of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reign last season. So, he played against Cardiff, we won 5-1, Herrera. He played against Huddersfield, we won 3-1. He played against Bournemouth, we won 4-1. He played against Newcastle, we won 2-0. He played against Spurs, we won 1-0. And he played against Brighton, and we won 2-1. He was then on the bench against that Burnley game where Mata played and we were shit, and we drew. So we'd won every game up until Burnley with Herrera in the team. Then he goes to the bench and we draw 2-2. He comes back into the game for Leicester away and we win 1-0. He plays against Fulham, we win 3-0. And he plays in the midfield for 21 minutes against Liverpool, and that's when he got injured and we drew 0-0. So, we might have won that if he'd stayed on the pitch. He's then out for 3 games with hip problems, where we beat Crystal Palace, we beat Southampton, but we lose to Arsenal. And the Southampton game was ridiculously close, by the way, and the Crystal Palace game was a bit dodgy. The wheel was starting to come off then. Basically, that people talk about the PSG game. It wasn't the PSG game. It was the Liverpool game where it started to go wrong because we lost 3 players in 45 minutes and we had to park the bus in the second half. So he came back for the Watford game and we won 2-1. Then he didn't play against Wolves. We lost 2-1. He didn't play against West Ham, which I think we won 2-1. He didn't play against Everton. We lost 4-0. He didn't play against Man City. We lost 2-0. He played against Chelsea. We drew 1-1. He played against Huddersfield. We drew 1-1. And then he didn't play against Cardiff, and we lost 2-0. So you can basically see that with Ander Herrera in the team and fit, we were winning all those games. And then he got injured against Liverpool. The confidence started to go and everything went wrong. And that, to me, is the most significant thing I want you to take away from this show tonight. Well, there's 2 things. The contrast between this style of football, which is basically park the bus, and this style of football, which was basically attacking teams, and look at Pogba. And then the contrast between Syringi doesn't understand what I'm talking about. I've just listed all the games that Ander Herrera played in, and basically, Shirin, if you don't understand, what I'm saying is the team Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was winning all the games with, Ander Herrera was playing. As soon as he got injured, it started to go wrong. So what I'm saying is the fact that we didn't replace... I mean, it's bad that Herrera left, but Herrera didn't leave because of Ole. Ole wanted to keep him. It wasn't Ole's fault. Herrera wanted to leave because of the way the club had treated him before Ole. So Herrera left. The biggest thing is that we didn't replace Herrera or find a player that played like Herrera. That was the biggest mistake, because Herrera was massively important to the team. He allowed Pogba to play further forward because he was so good defensively and aggressive at going forward, and Matic sat. We didn't replace Herrera. We've still got Pogba, very good player. We've still got some of the good players that we had, but we didn't replace Herrera. And there was players who could have done it. There was plenty of players who could have done it. Do you think he would change tactics back if we got the midfielder and attackers he needs, says MS Smiley? I don't see how he... You see, this is what I was trying to say, and I've probably not put it across well. I don't see how he wouldn't change back. I don't see why he's gone from that to this anyway. Because that could easily be that. Not that. That. We could easily play this system with that. You just make McTominay sit. You have Pogba as more advanced. You get rid of Lingard and you maybe play Pereira there. Or you get Matic to sit and you play Pogba and McTominay as the box-to-box players. We still could play that way. He's just made a conscious decision to go very defensive. As I've said before, I don't like saying it, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's current tactics are a Poundland version of Jose Mourinho. They are basically very, very defensive. And I guarantee we were creating more chances under Mourinho and Van Gaal. I've never understood why Ole's played this way this season. I don't get it. I just think he got scared and wanted to play defensive because he didn't want to concede goals. And he got scared because he didn't get a replacement for Herrera. And I think, in some ways you can understand that, but you should never turn your back on who you are. This formation is not who Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is. It's not why we got the job, but it's not how he played at Mulder. It's not how he tried to play at Cardiff. He's come out with some new thing. Now, who's in his ear about that? Is Phelan in his ear? Is Carrick in his ear? I don't know. But that is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That is not him. And it would be very, very sad if he played that team against Liverpool, got beat 3 or 4-0 and got the sack. Because I would sit here and say to you lot, he lost his job by being a coward. He lost his job by not being the man who got the job. And that's the thing that I would find very, very sad. If you're going to get the sack, go out with that team. Go out with the way that you got the job. Go out with who you are. Don't lose your job with that team. That formation, sorry. It's just not who you are. It really isn't who he is. Please smash a like on the video. Let's take some of your comments on it then, because that's the most important thing. Neil Hooley say Ole is just bottling it. The Batman channel says, I definitely agree with you on that, Paul Robinson. Letting Herrera and Lukaku go and not replacing them is disgusting. Look, I've got to say, I mean, you make a good point about Lukaku. I've had to readdress a lot of things this season because, people call people flip-flops and that. I think you have to change your opinion in football because, I don't think there is, football is very, very changeable, isn't it? And I think going into this season, I was ecstatic that we sold Lukaku because we sold him for the right reasons. And let's not forget, it was in the press this morning that people talking about us selling Lukaku and Sanchez need to realise what we were talking about in the summer. Sanchez and Lukaku wanted to go. It's all right saying keep them, but they wanted to go. They were both very vocal about it. Lukaku was itching for a move from last March, and Sanchez never really wanted to be here anyway. So do you keep players that don't want to be here? Well, it's a very difficult decision to make, isn't it? Because if you keep players that don't want to be here, then they're going to be a negative impact. But if they go and you don't get replacements, then you are going to miss those players at times. And I think, whatever anybody says, have we missed Lukaku this season? We've missed a happy Lukaku this season. He wouldn't be a starter if everyone was fit, but because of the injuries we've had, Lukaku would have come in handy the last few weeks because Rashford could have had a rest. So, but the issue is not, it's very hard to blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer about Lukaku because Lukaku wanted to go. The problem is, and you go back upstairs again, they didn't bring a replacement in. It's a win-win situation if Ole plays attacking football, he gets the support he really needs because Board is supporting him anyway. Leave like a legend, Dipanshu Kumar. Bring in promising prospect next, not 30-year-old flop, says Ruari. Lukaku is a better finisher than Rashford, says Lodders88. I think you're a better finisher than Rashford at the moment, Maton. Liverpool bringing a squad of gravediggers will bury United on October the 20th, says Paul McCartney. I'm going to stick by what I said. I've been saying this before. I said it about the Arsenal game. I don't actually expect Manchester United to lose to Liverpool. I think we will somehow find probably a 0-0 draw. I think we will defend very, very deep. Adam Matthews says, reckon Young could make a difference, adds more in the attack than Wan-Bissaka. You've wasted a fiver there, mate. I don't know what that's all about, but yeah, I don't agree with that. I mean, what I would say is, though, who could be the next leader in the dressing room, says TJ Smith. I think McTominay wants to be a leader. It's just whether he's going to be good enough. A leader needs also to be good enough on the pitch. If you think about the good leaders that have been out there, the Roy Keanes, the Gary Nevilles, the Vidic, the Giggs, these people are leaders, but they're also very, very good footballers. There's no point being vocal if you can't lead, if you're not a good footballer yourself. But I must just bring this up. I know people have been talking about it in the comments. There was something floating around on social media today from and it went along the lines of we've had years and years of success at Manchester United. Because of that, I'm willing to put up with a few bad years under Ollie. And people reacted to that ridiculously badly. And I think it is just a silly comment, personally. I just think the logic is totally and utterly flawed. I can't even get my head around it. So we've been spoilt for years, so now we've got to put up with the bad times. I think that's the sort of thing. That sort of comment, to me, is somebody who's in bed with the Glazers, who's in bed with the club, because it's if you understand the real issue with Manchester United, you would not accept this. It's a little bit like saying, well, we've been successful for years, so now we need to accept not being successful for a few years. All right, I used to have a house, but now I live on the streets. It's fine. No, you've got to look at why the decline is, and we've spoken about this on this channel for years now. We are where we are not because of cycles, not because of luck. We are here because of bad management. Bad management, bad recruitment, bad leadership. That's why we are where we are. So no, I don't. I choose not to sit back and accept this for 1 minute, let alone 4 or 5 years. No, sod that. The club's in a bloody mess. And, if you are one of those people who thinks you want to sit back and just accept it, fine. That's your opinion. But you ain't going to get far shoving that sort of an opinion down people's throats, because it's not logical. It's not based on logic. It really isn't. I think he should play 4-3-3, try scoring goals, and if it's not our day, move to 4-2-3-1 to scrap out a result. Please start on the front foot, says Pallav Jarari. What I would say is, whether Ollie goes back to this lovely formation and style of football or not, this is the formation you're going to see against Liverpool. I mean, whether he's going to start playing 4-3-3 again, I don't know. You know what? I've got hand on heart. I do have one. Hand on heart. Do I think he's going? Well, let's all do it. Do you think he's going to go back to that anytime? Do you think he will go back to that? Because now I'm going to tell you something. I don't think he's been tactically exposed. I think if he goes back to that, that he should have started the season that way. But I think he's going to stick with this. And the reason I think he's going to stick with this is because if he came into the season scared and did that when we had no points and it was a clean slate and he came in defensive like that when there was no pressure really, then I do not think that now he's potentially on the edge of, at risk of losing his job, he's going to suddenly start playing attacking football. I think even more than ever, he's going to play a football like that. Especially against Liverpool. He will not be expansive against Liverpool. He will do what he did in the second half when we had them injuries back in February. He is going to park the bus against Liverpool, definitely. Because he's scared. He's scared of losing. And then I think if we did get a draw against Liverpool, is the next game's Norwich or Bournemouth, he'll do the same again. And then we've got a Europa League game. I don't know what he'll do in that. But then I think we've got Carabao Cup against Chelsea. He will do that again. Because he's running scared now. And I don't blame him. He's in a very precarious situation now, and I think he's so scared of losing his job. I think he's going to stick with this, and he's going to try and just defend his way out of it. Arnie says you can't build a tower on soft foundation. Okay. And Mark Slade says Ollie in. The players we have don't have the ability to execute the plan Ollie wants. Give him January summer window. I disagree with you, Mark. So he had the players back in the start of January to play the way he wanted to play, and now he doesn't. What's different? What's different between this team here and this team here? So in January he could play that way, and we were all happy. But now he can't. Now he can't play that way because he's got these players. I can see an easy way of turning that team into a team that plays that way. Easy, very easy. He's still got Matic, so you just play Matic, you drop Lingard, and you push Pogba and McTominay forward. So look, where Herrera is, you put McTominay there straight away, and obviously you drop Lingard for Dan James. I've just done it, and you've got a stronger defence anyway. So I don't agree with you there. He has got the players to play like this. He's choosing to play like that. That's my opinion. 2 more players is not going to make a difference, says Paul Robinson. I don't think it is. I think he will get. I think we will gradually get better if he can last in the job. But I don't think there's any excuse for playing the way he's playing. And I'll never understand whatever happens with Ollie. I will never understand what he's done at the start of this season. There was no reason to do it. But what I would say is, as much as we all focus on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, what I would say is this: there is absolutely no doubt that he has been hung out to dry by the board, not on purpose, but because they don't want to spend money. 60 million net spend. Herrera doesn't get replaced. 2 strikers walk out the door and don't get replaced. We needed 2 midfielders before Herrera left. We needed 3 when he left. We got none. They didn't help the situation. And you know what? Imagine if we had bought a Tielemans, or we had bought an Ndembele, or we had bought a Bruno Fernandes. You know, there's 3 midfielders there, all which were available. Now, I'm not saying we could have got Ndembele. Maybe Spurs had that wrapped up a long time ago. But we could have got midfielders in, and imagine if we had done. Little Birdie told me a wealthy businessman from you are going to buy Manchester United. Cheers to all, says Big D. I'd be very surprised if the Glazers sold us, but I think that is probably one of the most important things that could happen if it could. What about Garner in the CDM role of a 4-3-3, says Joel Cottingham? I think the youth thing, I think we all need to wake up and smell the coffee on that. I mean, we've all been guilty of going play Gomez, play Chong, play Greenwood, and I think what we're seeing is not that they're not ready. I think maybe they are ready, but I think, you know, we've said this a few times. When you think of the class of 92, they played gradually and then they got, you know, rested, this, that and the other. You can't really be chucking in young players into a situation like this and playing them week in, week out. Their confidence is going to get shot. They're going to get used to losing, which is not a good thing to do. I think those young players are ready, but they're ready in a team that's stable and doing well, and we're not doing that. So I don't think you can chuck a kid in to solve a relegation threatened team. Mark Whitten, just cancelled my MUTV subscriptions. Glazers are not getting my money, but I do support Ollie. It's the board's problem. The problem was here before Ollie. Interesting point. I do like the look of Brandon Williams, Melvin Pettersson, but I think Luke Shaw will come back in when he's fit. And Paul Robinson says, if Ollie did get the sack, we need to go in hard on Ed and the Glazers for sure. It's going to be a very, very, very interesting few days and weeks ahead, isn't it? It's going to be very, very interesting. And that Liverpool game will be here before you know it. And my early prediction for that is a draw, which will basically be a stay of execution. Because if you draw against Liverpool, it's still 2 points dropped, isn't it? It's only 1 point gained. If you draw against Liverpool, then you go and lose to Norwich or Bournemouth. I think the pressure's still there anyway. We need a solution, and the solution is simple. Let's target a high-profile home game, i.e. the Liverpool game, and chant at Ed's face. Director of football, says Hammer Hastrabadi. The trouble is, would a director of football be brought in and given the responsibility they've got, or will they just appoint a director of football to appease fans and then give them no control? I don't know. If you could bring in 3 players in January, who would it be, says Moses Ketselset. If I could bring, and I'll make this very realistic, if I could bring 3 players into Manchester United in January, it would be Timo Werner, because he can play anywhere along the front 3, and I think we're desperate for another player like that, and he's got a lot of potential, and he's a good player. I would bring in Bruno Fernandes still, because I think he would give us some attacking intent, but also he's very tenacious. And then I would also bring in, I would do everything I could to try and get Ndidi. I would. Ndidi or a Thomas Partey. They would be the 3 players I would get. So you'd get your attacking emphasis from Bruno Fernandes, you'd get Timo Werner and Ndidi, and I would be very happy with those 3. And you could probably do it for about 150 million as well. So that's the 3 I would go for, yeah. I do like Maddison. I've got nothing against the signing James Maddison, but for me, I would still prefer Bruno Fernandes. I think Bruno Fernandes was perfect for us. and I would like to go and get him. We had too many CMs before we sold Fellaini and Herrera. The problem is we let go of the wrong one, Herrera, and kept the wrong ones, says Sid T. Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting with Fred, isn't it? Fred's come out and sort of made comments about being given a chance, this, that, and the other. I would like to have seen Fred playing in that system last year. This system here, you know, maybe Fred playing in that system in the Herrera position would have been a better Fred. But Fred playing in this system, you know, you can't say Pogba's shit in this system and then say the same thing about Fred and then not understand why they're playing so badly. They're just playing in a very defensive midfield position, and they're too far away from goal to do anything. Same with Pogba. Snake Eyes 1994. Problem we have is we don't have decent players to play amongst the youth like Liverpool do. That was shown in the Carabao Cup. I'd agree with you on that one. Yeah, it is very interesting. Please smash a like. We're nearly on 1,000 likes. Got a really good video coming up for you tomorrow, by the way. Really looking forward to how that's going to work. So make sure you keep your eye out for that. It might go up at midday, might go up a little bit later, but do keep an eye out for that one. No 8 o'clock show live tomorrow night because the United Stand FC are playing a game against the Pratt in a Hat FC tomorrow night, and it's an 8 o'clock kickoff in London, so I'll be down at that. But I'll probably put something up for you to watch anyway, but it won't be a live show tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So, but we'll make sure something goes up. ZX says Nicholas Bentner. Yeah, interesting. Did you get time to read my lengthy email on what Ollie is doing? I feel I answered a few questions you had last week, Mark, about why Ollie changed tactics. Mark, I did read it, but I can't really remember it, to be honest with you, because I do get loads of emails, but I do appreciate it, and at the time I will have read it and took it in. Let's just have a quick look at this then. Look, this evening is going to be absolutely fantastic. He is a legend.
Hi
of the
guys,
club.
Ryan Giggs here. Looking forward to seeing you at the ICC in Birmingham on the 25th of October. For tickets, go to showfighters.co.uk. See you there.
Ryan Giggs with the United Stand on stage, answering questions. It's going to be a very interesting evening. It will be 5 days after Liverpool. It will be the next night from the Belgrade game. It's going to be smack in. Whatever happens that night is going to be very interesting, isn't it? Because Ollie will either be gone, he'll either be still here, but there'll be some very interesting questions to put to Ryan Giggs. So if you want to be there, links in the video description. Get your tickets while you can. Very, very, very interesting evening with the United Stand. And as I say, if you want photographs and stuff with me, I'll only charge you 100 quid per photo. I'm only joking. Thanks everyone for watching. Really enjoyed the show. I am enjoying the shows at the moment because, I know we're in a bad position. I know it's the international break, but, people say, oh, it's the international break, I'm not going to be interested. Our club's in a mess. Our club's in a mess, and we're working through therapy here. We're also going to do another call-in on Thursday night, so if you want to call in, that would be good. So yeah, keep watching the shows, keep getting involved. It's good to talk. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening. I'm off to watch the Bake Off. Make sure you get your tickets. I want to see you there for the Gigs Unite. I think it's going to be a really good evening, and I'll speak to you all soon. Why am I still... I'm not even clicked the stop button.